from 2022. This only came out a couple years ago. This is, once again, Hellraiser. This is Mark's number one.
It's my number one. Yeah.
I'm right up there with you, buddy.
Yeah.
It's excellent. This is an excellent remake. You could have gone either way.
Yeah.
You could have agreed with me.
I had the original as my number one up until I watched this one last, which was like a week ago.
Right.
And then I just had to.
And I had said to you, I knew you would like it.
Yeah.
I had said to you, do you remember what I said? Because you're like, I only got like one or two left. And I was like, last one's not bad.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to end strong. It does end strong. This is a high point.
Yep.
Like, this should have breathed new life into the franchise.
I wish this came earlier.
Yeah,
Like,
I wish that like 3 movies ago.
Yeah.
Like 3 movies ago.
Even like first or second. Like there. Anyway, go into the.
We'll get into the plot.
And then we'll take
It's
it
good.
up.
It's
Yep.
very good.
Yep.
It's a solid remake. It does the original justice. It's its own, but it also has its own identity, which is good. It's solid. All right. Here's the plot. It's the 11th entry. The 11th entry. Oh, I didn't mention. So why isn't this my number one? I really like this movie, but I gotta go with the 87 original because that 80s feel you can't replicate in a digital made film.
Yeah.
And there is a feel and look to the original that you just can't replicate. So this is a polished version, and I'd rather have the dirty original.
The raw version.
Yeah.
Yep.
But both are comparable.
Yeah.
And there was a point where I considered this as my number one. So I'm right up there with you, buddy.
Yep.
I agree. Yeah. So this is our first official remake. It uses the same title, Hellraiser. It opens with a business-looking woman exchanging a large sum of money with a mysterious man for a mysterious box.
Yes.
We've seen something like this before.
10 times before.
Cut to a lavish mansion where the woman, Serena, meets a young man. She reveals she works for the eccentric billionaire Voight.
Roland Voight.
Roland Voight.
Yeah.
Played by Goran Visnjic. Hopefully I said that decently. She sends the young guy to this huge room where he sees several lament configurations. So it's not just the box; they're in weird shapes.
Yeah. They're actually in configurations.
They're in actual configurations. Enter Voight, who's like, "They're cool, right? Go ahead, solve it." He then hands one of the boxes to the young man. The young man does, and it stabs his hand. Voight then flips a switch, which activates a metal gate, locking the young man in the room with him. There's some flashing lights, and chains appear that string the young guy up, and we cut to the title card. Interesting introduction. Quite solid. We're building up to something here. We skip ahead 6 years later to our new protagonist, Riley, who's getting banged out by some dude. I mean, that's literally her introduction, is her getting banged out.
Yep.
After an awkward moment where the guy says that he loves her, they then stumble into the kitchen post coitus, where we're introduced to her brother Matt, his boyfriend Colin, and her roommate Nora.
Yeah.
Matt starts an argument with Riley about how her life is not in a good spot and she's still acting like a fuck up, and he doesn't like that. So the guy she's fucking with, I think his name is Tyler. Trevor. So she's fucking Trevor, and she met him in the 12 steps.
Yeah,
so
they're both sort of recovering.
Yes, Riley's a recovering drug addict, and her brother Matt is also look, you're also short on the rent again. So they're immediately setting up. Riley's a bit of a fuck up.
Yep.
Like she's not a responsible person.
She's made some bad choices.
Yes.
Yeah.
She then goes and sees the dude in question, Trevor, and he reveals that they can make some quick cash if they burgle this rich guy's storage unit he does deliveries to. They do it and find a single safe. They break in and find inside the safe a single wooden box. I wonder what's inside.
Yep.
What else? The Lament box, which has gotten a slight redesign. Did you notice this?
The original. It's a little bit more wooden and a little bit less sort of metallic and ornate.
Actually, I would say the opposite. The original is more wooden. It's more mechanical in this one.
Okay, yeah.
It's more mechanical. In the original one, it's more like a wooden box that somehow is able to move around. But in this
the
one,
original has basically like 2 moving parts. This one has many.
Yeah, this one is like an intricate, like mechanical metal thing. Yeah, it's a good redesign actually. I like the new look of it. It's clever.
You immediately recognize what it is, right?
Right.
So it's not like they've changed it enough to remove the function of what it is and the recognition of it, but it's definitely a modernized upgrade on the original design.
They should have brought back that circle design from fucking Hellseeker. I don't know. What does that do? I just want to. Why don't they ever bring that back, Mark? Why not the circle one? Actually, it does turn into a circle at one point in this movie, I think. So. Riley returns home intoxicated, and her brother tells her that he's had enough and wants her out. Yep. Upset and stressed out, she relapses and starts popping some pills and heads to the park at night with the lament box in hand. She plays around with the box, as one does, as every other character in the series has done up to this point, and solves it. I'll put in quote. This is the one where it actually feels more like you have to move shit around.
Yes.
Yeah. The other ones are just like, you just touch the thing and then it basically solves itself.
For the first time in the franchise, it feels like there's an actual puzzle to solve.
Yes.
And you might not figure it out if you're like an idiot and can't figure it out.
And the way she figures it out, it actually caused, the way she's holding it, a blade shoots out. This is very important. The blade does not cut her.
No.
So she solves it. And a blade shoots out, but it doesn't get her. Doesn't get her. Yep. Doesn't slice her. And she's kind of like, what the fuck? Just then, the drugs start kicking in, and Riley starts peeking just in time to see the Cenobites slowly phasing into our reality. Her brother Matt then has a strange dream, and he gets like this bad feeling. And so he runs off and looks for Riley's car and finds Riley all fucked up, like not far away in the park, all fucked up on drugs. He grabs the box out of her hands and accidentally cuts himself. Yep. He then runs into the washroom to wash, there's like a park bathroom, runs into the park bathroom to clean up, and a gateway to the Cenobite hell world opens. Riley hears Matt scream and runs in, but he's nowhere to be found.
Matt is gone. Yep.
She goes to see fuckboy Trevor and tries to figure out what's happening. They track down the shipping container. They track down where the shipping container came from and find out that it belonged to Voight, the eccentric Voight, and through that information they're able to find Serena, his old assistant, who's now in an assistant living facility. She's like dying of I interpreted as she was dying from lung cancer.
Yeah,
she had like an oxygen tank, and she was kind of
I think
wheezing.
And I think they find her name attached to the rental of the warehouse where the box is, so they go and seek her out.
Oh, I had it backwards. Okay, I had it backwards.
It's her first, and then
So then they find her, and then through the employer. That's right. They learn about Roland Voight, her former employer, and I thought this was a little goofy the way this happened, but Serena sees that Riley has the box, and then she's just like, give me that box. And they have this awkward struggle. And I'm like, this woman's dying. I don't know that she would just pop out of her seat and try to do this.
Hey, why don't you put that down?
I'm locking it up. I'm sorry, I've got nothing else for you.
What? Come on, give it to me. Give it to me, Serena.
No.
Serena.
No.
Please give it back.
Let go, you don't know what you're doing.
Give it back.
No.
Ah!
I know why they do it.
Yeah.
They do it so that Serena gets sliced by the box. So now Serena's marked. So of course she's fucked.
She's next.
Yeah, she's next. And this is my biggest complaint of this movie. This is dumb lore. You just get cut by the box now. You don't even have to solve it. If you get cut by the box, the Cenobites take you. I don't like this.
Well, every time they change it to the next configuration.
Right. The blade comes out. Right. But then you just have to stab somebody random and then they take that person.
It's
a different, I'm not a fan of this because I like the idea of you are seeking out something on the edge of reality.
Yeah.
But I don't like the idea that you could just be like, I could just be like, hey, Mark, check this out, dude. And then I poke you. And then fucking Pinhead shows up and is like, Mark, come with us. And you're like, no. And I was like, that's not fun.
I find it's an effective blending of two lores that we've kind of seen so far.
Yeah, because the idea is that you're sacrificing other people.
That's right.
Yeah, which they
So you've
they
got the
set that
soul
up.
piece on the
Yes.
one side
Yeah.
combined with the sort of suffering and physical. Yeah.
Sure. Riley then looks up info on Roland Voigt and finds where his estate is. And she's like, okay, you, me, and everyone else, we need to go there. And Trevor's like, fuck that.
Yeah.
I'm not doing it. So she goes alone, and the gate to the driveway mysteriously opens, letting her in. She finds the place seemingly abandoned, and there's like this metal grid around the entire mansion.
Yeah.
Some sort of strange architectural design. We don't reveal what it means just yet. She finds a way in and explores the creepy mansion, and it's exactly what you would expect a mad genius's lair to be like. It's basically Chenard's. Is it Chenard? Channard's?
Dr. Chenard.
Yeah, Chenard's like layout in his mansion where it's like there's drawings and journal entries and then like information on the Cenobites and like the puzzle box. Out of nowhere, Trevor, Nora, and Colin show up and they're like, we were worried about you. They kind of just appear.
Yeah,
It's
the
like
Scooby Gang.
the Scooby Gang just appears. Yeah, it's like, okay, sure, whatever. Riley delivers some lore from one of Voight's journals stating the box has several configurations, and whoever possesses the final form is granted an audience with God and granted one wish.
Yep.
So according to Voight, the puzzle box, it has 6 sides, 6 configurations. There are 3 left. And then it says whoever possesses the final configuration is granted a passage to another realm, to an audience with God.
Riley, since when do you believe in God?
What I'm trying to get to is that this God, whatever it is, offers choices to whoever holds the final configuration. You get there, then you choose your ultimate desire. Life, knowledge, love, sensation, power, resurrection.
So I actually did this, and my wish was that we wouldn't have to review the Hellraiser franchise.
So you chose
But the
Lament.
Cenobites lied to me, much like they do. Nora finds a secret passage in the wall where she's attacked and stabbed by someone wielding a lament box. Who could this be? They try to get her out and drive off, but the road starts changing. Ooh. There's actually a really cool visual shot here where they're like, they've got Nora in the back and she's like all fucked up and like tripping out. And they're like, all right, we're gunning it. We're getting out of here. And the back of the van starts like sinking away from the front of the van.
It's like a pull away shot. But
It's a really cool looking shot.
interesting way of doing that.
It was.
a fixed environment that wouldn't move. Right?
Because normally when the Cenobites come into our world, it's like a wall opens up or something like
you
that.
stay where you are and things sort of move around you. Right?
Yeah, this is different where it's like they almost suck her into their world out of the back of the van. That was cool. It was a very cool visual shot. And Nora comes face to face with our brand new female Pinhead. Not called Pinhead in this movie.
Yeah.
I know. We'll get to that. But pretty cool.
Yeah.
So we got another. This is another.
I like it. I like it.
I like it a lot. I like it a lot. Well, Trevor and Colin debate what to do. Riley runs off to throw the box into a pond, but then the new female Pinhead shows up and is like, feed us 2 more souls or we'll take yours.
Yeah.
Which I never liked this version of the Cenobites where they're just like, we're all about souls. Nom, 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 nom. It's like Freddy Krueger. It's like, add to my soul wall. Add to my soul chest. I don't like, I'm not into that version. I prefer where they're all about sensation.
Yeah.
You know? I don't like when the Cenobites have a goal. I don't feel like they should have a goal.
Yeah, I felt like it was more of a, if you want the power that we're going to grant you, you've got to trade it for something.
You got to pay the price.
Yeah.
So then a new version of the Chatterer shows up and just attacks them, which I also thought was strange because I'm like, the Cenobites never really just attacked you per se, but like, sure. Riley stabs Chatterer with the box and apparently that counts, which is odd. I also found, I think this was a bit of a mistake in the movie. I didn't get the purpose of this, because it's like, he's already a Cenobite. What are you taking?
Yeah.
Because then Pinhead's like, all right, that counts, and they just tear apart the Chatterer.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, but you already took that soul. That was odd. It was odd.
I mean, they have to make up the 5 somehow, right? So, and they don't have enough characters.
Well, they should have like the mailman show up or something. Or like, they could have had anything. It's like some little boy could have snuck in. He's like, I heard there was gold in this basement or some shit like that.
But I do think that it was an intentional choice.
Oh, they had a reason for it. I just think it was an odd choice. The group then runs back to the mansion to hide from the Cenobites who are now pursuing them. The Cenobites are all like, they've all now appeared. The whole group can see the Cenobites. Riley activates a switch which closes the metal grid around the mansion, and that somehow repels the Cenobites. So the mansion has somehow been set up as some sort of thing.
They don't have the ability to like phase through walls or anything. You can block them out. Like,
well, yeah, but they have ability. I know. I don't. I think I interpreted. Oh, you thought it was just like a defense.
yeah.
No, I don't think that was it. I interpreted it as that there was some sort of magic to because the metal workings are done in the style of the Lament Box. So I interpreted it as it was some sort of
maybe
power to it, right? Because otherwise, why wouldn't you just have blast doors? Like,
Sure.
why have a elaborate cube around?
Yeah, there's probably some kind of
They don't explain
arcane
it.
something.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah. So then Roland Voight appears, revealing that Trevor is secretly working for him. Oh, that dastardly.
You bastard.
You scumbag, Trevor. Matt was right about you. Riley then lures one of the Cenobites in to stab it to try to redo the same plan. It starts chasing her around like a jackass, and that was kind of stupid because, again, I think the Cenobites work better when they're smarter and more interesting, not just like,
they don't
flail
pursue
around.
you. They just,
They don't need to run after you. They can teleport to you, right? Like, yeah. So that was a little stupid. And then they trapped the Cenobite in like one of the metal gates that's set up from like the switches that Voight has.
Yep.
And then Voight shows up and he just stabs Colin, and he also blows up Trevor's spot with Riley and reveals that Trevor's working for him. This triggers the god Leviathan to appear in a very cool shot. I really like the way they did that shot of it, like descending from the sky, and the whole area starts like morphing into the labyrinth hell world. Roland demands Leviathan remove the device from him or he'll hold the Cenobites hostage. So like Roland has this like weird metal thing inside him, and we're going to explain it in a bit.
Yeah.
But he made a previous deal with the Cenobites that didn't go the way he wanted.
Yeah.
We're basically getting Frank if Frank didn't die at the end of his first encounter with the Cenobites.
Yeah.
And so he demands that they remove it, but he's like, tell your god to remove this device from me, or I won't release his Cenobites. And then Riley just opens the gates anyways, so the Cenobites are free. And then he begs for the Cenobites. He basically is just like, all right, fuck, well then I have no leverage here, but please just remove this from me or just kill me. Like, do one of the two. They then remove the device before turning him into a brand new Cenobite.
Yeah, do you remember the line, gifts cannot be ungiven, only exchanges can be made. So once a gift has been given, you can't get rid of it, but they will give you another one
in lieu.
In exchange, right?
So, the end.
Yeah.
That's the end of
this movie is not perfect. You noted a few points.
There's some problems, yeah.
But, it's pretty close. Like, it's a little longer than it needed to be, I think. This one's over 2 hours.
That was your biggest fear.
I don't think it needed to be 2 hours.
No.
But I will say, though, that the final...
There's about 15 minutes of dicking around in the third act that needs to be trimmed.
But of that third act, so much good stuff gets done here. The lore that is built up in this movie, particularly like the final half hour, so great. There's a lot of good stuff here. They established some rules that would have been really beneficial to have, like for the first or even second entry in the series. I guess my biggest disappointment is that this entry comes so late in the franchise. We had to wait 11 movies to find this one. But man, this is a good one. There's a reason why it's number one. I really like the first one. I feel like what separates this remake from the first one, though, is that it actually does a good job of explaining a lot of why this happens. Explanations that would have made so much sense and helped out so many of the previous movies that we had to suffer through, that without that level of explanation, they just suffer.
I think what separates this one, I still prefer the original because I like the interpretation better and I like the look better. The characters are better in this one, I think. They have more agency. They're more interesting to follow. Roland Voigt is awesome.
Yep.
I love Roland Voigt as a character. He's sympathetic in a way that Frank never really was.
Well, because we get to see what happens next.
Right.
Right.
So like they set up early in the movie like that he's basically he's filling the Frank role, right?
Yep.
Like they set up early on where he lets that poor young kid like play with the box, even knowing that he's about to just get shredded by the fucking Cenobites, right? And the kid's like, "What happens if I solve it? Do I get a prize?" And then like hauntingly, Roland's like, "I do."
So if I solve it, do I get a prize?
I do.
And just lets him get like torn apart.
Roland is our quintessential, I want more. I want everything.
Yes. We see him, at one point he's like worshiping the Leviathan.
Yeah.
There's a shot of that. The great callback. How does Pinhead describe what the Cenobites are? They are...
Like in the original movie?
Yeah. What's the description? They are, to some...
Oh, angels to some and demons to others. Yeah.
Serena drops a line. She says, "Angels, he called them."
This is not the first configuration. Who touched it?
My brother.
And now he's gone, isn't he?
So you've seen them?
Roland used to see them too. People thought he was crazy. Angels, he called them.
So to him, we're getting a character that sees that
in his mind. That's how he interprets
and in the first movie, you go, well, who the fuck would see these creatures as angels? We're now getting a character that actually sees them as that. He doesn't see them as monsters. He sees them as angels. So we didn't see this, but in the 6-year time gap, Roland seemingly solved the box 5 times, did the different configurations, sacrificed 5 people, and then, because isn't that the way the lore is set up in this one? It's like, there's 5, is it 5?
You got to hit each one of the 5 configurations.
And then every time you solve the configuration, a blade shoots out, and then you have to stab somebody
else.
And then that sacrifices their soul.
Yep.
And then when it gets to the final form, you get an audience with Leviathan, and then you get a wish.
They ask you, what would you ask of us?
And they have, I didn't write it down.
I did.
Oh yeah. What are the things, the options?
Lament, lore, laudorant, I've never heard that word before, liminal, Lazarus, and Leviathan. And then each one has like a subsequent word that kind of indicates what you get.
Some of it means something, but they don't. So off camera, Voight had done this, right? So when we see him, he chose, he says he chose sensation as his gift, which I don't remember which one of those things it translated to.
Yeah.
And the result was Leviathan put this mechanical contraption inside his body that's like wound into his nerves.
Yes.
And it just like, it's so haunting. So it basically like he's perpetually he can never get numb or used to the pain because it randomly will pull on his nerve endings.
It stops and then it starts just randomly. And
it's all random. So it's the equivalent of someone randomly just pulling on different pain receptors in your body at random times.
I would say, imagine like,
it's like the ultimate torture device.
Bumping your funny bone over and over and over again, all throughout your whole body, endlessly, nonstop. Like it's just, and again, it's perfect for this though, because it is true pain to the highest extent. You will be subjected to pains that could never fathom, right? And he's constantly being put through this, right? Oh, I thought it was perfect.
he's given the gift he asked for. It's the careful what you wish for.
That's right. It's the monkey's paw.
He's Frank. He's looking for the ultimate sensation. That's what they give him. It's just not what it's not what he wanted.
It's what he asked for. It's not what he expected.
It's not the pleasure he thought it would be.
I also like the fact that because we've had a bit of a time gap, he's been able to document some of this, right? So we get that notebook that she finds, right? And it's got all of the different configurations, how this works, right? So it's not like they're idiots that just stumble upon how this, and make it up as they go along. No, he's been spending time documenting this, and they find that, which is a little bit more organic than just, oh, there's a little hook that popped out of this thing. I guess I need to stab somebody with it and then change the configuration. And no. They don't know that, but they learn it.
Yeah,
right?
They learn it through Voight.
Yeah. So I found that made a little bit more sense as to why, okay, now they know how this works without having some stupid explanation as to how they figured it out.
But it also the whole thing gives Voight so much more depth than Frank ever had.
Yeah.
Because Frank, I wanted to root for Frank. Because it's exactly what I said from part one. I'm like, I wish we had a thing where this character just got in over his head.
Yeah.
And now we're like, okay, you're human. You were looking for a thing. It was more than you anticipated, and now you have to get out of this horrible situation you're in.
Yeah.
That's relatable as a human being. People make stupid decisions, right? But with Frank, it never comes across that way. It just kind of feels like he's a selfish scumbag, and he never actually at no point does Frank the most human Frank is when he initially comes back and he's like, Julia, help me. That's his most vulnerable. But as soon as he gets what he needs at her, he just kills her.
He's just a jerk again.
That's what I mean. And he's just a piece of shit. It's like he could have turned into someone that was sympathetic and we would have rooted for Frank. With Voight, I root for Voight more because I'm like, okay, you acknowledge this thing you were in over your head, right? You toyed with things that were, beyond what humans should be toying with, kind of idea.
I don't know what they promised you. Knowledge, love. I saw pleasure. But all they have to give is pain. It's a trick. All of it.
My only beef with it is, why is he alive? Like, you wouldn't be able to eat. You wouldn't be able to, you wouldn't be able to sleep. Like, if this thing just randomly goes off, you'd never sleep, so you'd just die.
Yeah, I think you can kind of incorporate all of that into it as well. Like, imagine how torturous that would be as well. Like, not only are you subjected to this awful pain all the time, but you also can't sleep as a result of it.
No, but that's what I think it's a little bit of a plot hole, but I think the idea is, like, again, the Cenobites have powers that, because the other thing is, like, why would he survive with an open wound in his chest?
He's going to get infected and just die anyway.
So my thought is, like, he's not actually human at that point. They have taken his soul. He's like a living corpse on our planet, but I don't think I interpret it as that he was not human at that point.
See, this relates back to when they were able to stab one of the Cenobites and claim one of them as the victim. I don't know if they have taken his soul, and I think that part of why I think that is when I don't know if you want to talk about this now, but he essentially trades in his pain for, you mentioned it.
Yeah, he turns into a Cenobite.
They turn him into a Cenobite.
That's the ending of the movie. The ending of the movie is he awakens as a new Cenobite.
Right. It would not make sense if ultimately he gets what he wants, which is, please just remove this. It's like, no, you're going to get something even worse. So, like, he still has his soul, but now he's got to spend the rest of eternity no longer as a human, but as this, like, being that is still very much aware of who he is, what he was, but now he doesn't even have the opportunity to be a person anymore. He's still...
Well, maybe their minds get wiped, like Elliot Spencer got his mind wiped.
Maybe, except I feel like it still would make more sense if he could remember everything. Like, because the punishment is he has to know, right? If he doesn't, then he kind of wins.
But
right?
I don't think it's a punishment. I think it's a gift. I didn't.
Oh yes, but
it's
a gift.
No, but
right?
see, I didn't interpret the ending. I actually interpreted the ending as Roland was enlightened. I interpret that ending as he saw the light. Like, if you look at his face in that scene, it's not really horror. It's almost like he's peeking into infinity. It just feels, I didn't interpret that ending. And this
interesting.
speaks to the quality of the movie.
Yeah.
And the fact that we're actually having this debate tells you it's like, there's layers to this.
Yeah.
But I interpret that ending as they actually did give him what he wanted, which was, he didn't know he wanted it,
Yeah.
but it was almost like eternal knowledge. So he is now a Cenobite. So he had this torture device that was in a human body, but now he's in a Cenobite body. So it's like pain is now exactly like the auditors. It's like a currency to him. The ending feels very much like he's touching the face of God and he's now awoken. And you see that his eyes go black at the end. So I interpret it as that as he is now reborn. I don't think it was a punishment. I didn't see it as that.
I think that's a good interpretation. I saw it the opposite. Like
you thought it was an eternal punishment.
You don't want this. You always trade up, right?
But I don't think. But see, here's the thing: is these aren't the punishing Cenobites. We've returned back to the neutral Cenobites.
Right.
These aren't. They're not there to judge your soul. They're not there for that.
Yeah, but remember, they are claiming victims, right? Like they.
Yeah,
so they're not
that's
as
stupid. Yeah,
I would not say that these ones are as neutral as the ones
the
in the
original.
first one.
Yeah. Okay,
so again,
fair enough. Yeah, but see, I don't like that. The whole trading soul shit.
Yeah, again, that's why I think that this movie does do a decent job of blending the lore from all of the different movies. Right, you've got a little bit of everything, and it brings it together nicely and explains it in a way, or in your case, leaves it ambiguous enough that maybe. That's right. Maybe it's not.
Yeah.
You're never going to know, right?
No, I know. Yeah, I'm telling you. Exactly
I know.
What it is.
Yes. Yeah.
Something you want to talk about, Mark? You got excited there for a second. He's got a point, folks.
No,
What's it gonna be?
Just.
I have a couple points.
Yeah. Go ahead. I'll read through.
Let's talk about Riley.
Yep.
I like her as a protagonist.
Yep.
I like her.
There's an arc.
I like flawed characters
Yep.
as protagonists, and this is the difference. We've got Hellseeker. Yeah. And we've got Inferno, and they're just these piece of shit scumbag
They're
people.
just bad people.
Right.
Yeah.
You got Riley, it's like she's a fuck up, but she's not necessarily a bad person. She just made bad choices.
She's not malicious, but she's the one thing that she doesn't do, and this comes into play at the end, is that throughout the movie, it's hinted that she doesn't take responsibility for how her actions have negatively impacted other people.
God, no one takes me seriously here.
That's because you do it enough for everyone.
Yeah, well, someone's got to. The first of the month is coming up real fast. I can't keep covering you.
I know that nobody is asking you to. Tits have been shit lately. I'm trying.
Right? So like she's this burden on her brother Matt, but she doesn't think she is.
Right.
She thinks she's fine and that her brother's being a jerk, right? So do you want to talk about her fate at the end of this?
I love the ending.
Yeah.
I love the ending.
It's incredible.
The ending's awesome. So the Cenobites, she gets visions of Matt. So Cenobites have Matt. Matt is in like the hell world, her brother. And there's like, Matt is like kind of whispers to her a few times where he's kind of like, because one of the gifts is resurrection.
Yep.
Resurrection. But here's the thing. You don't know what that means.
Yeah.
They have a word for it, but what does that actually mean? What are you actually going to do when I pick that, right?
You'll get him back.
Maybe?
But not the way that you expect to get him back. Right?
Maybe. Yeah, we don't know.
Yep.
So it ends where Riley ends up being the last one who solves the box. She's holding the final form. So then the female Pinhead is basically just like, okay, what's your choice?
Yeah.
And she chooses nothing.
No. I've seen your rewards. I know my brother's gone. I don't want anything from you. Nothing.
Then you have chosen
a life of regret. Knowing everything you've done, everyone you've hurt and lost.
Your suffering has barely begun.
You choose to live, to carry that weight, bitter and brief. You have chosen the lament configuration.
But the twist is
that is a choice.
That is a choice. And the choice is
lament. Yeah.
Lament.
Yeah.
And the Cenobites in this awesome shot, The female Pinhead is just like, you have chosen lament. You will now live with the grief of losing your brother for the rest of your life. That is your fate.
Yeah, I got a note down. By choosing nothing, she essentially chooses the lament configuration, a life of regret. Her suffering to carry that weight of bitterness and grief has barely begun. I love the analogy of the drug user having to accept how their actions have negatively impacted others. She finally now has to, that is the burden that she
has
must
to
carry.
reconcile with her past.
Yeah.
She has to finally accept that she lived a piece of shit lifestyle. It caught up to her, and now she has to carry that weight. It doesn't mean she's doomed to have a bad life. It just means that you own your shit.
Yeah.
And that's such a good fucking character
and
arc.
even if you go on to lead a good life, you can't fix those things that you
Right.
did, right?
But that's a good message.
Yeah.
See, to me, it's not really a punishment. It's just more of that's being an adult.
Or on the flip side, it is the most punishing of all.
In a
right?
sense, I guess. But
yeah.
see, again, I didn't get the sense they were trying to punish Riley.
Yeah.
I got the sense of Riley is now growing up.
Yeah.
Like that is being a mature adult is facing your past and making peace with it, right?
Yeah.
And the coolest shot in this is Riley after the Cenobite says that she chose lament. She looks down at her hand. The box has returned to normal. She looks up. Cenobites are just gone.
Yep. Starts again.
It's just such a cool visual of just like, they're gone. They're just they're just nothing. There's no trace of them
Their
whatsoever.
business is complete, right?
It's great.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the Cenobites.
Yep.
I got a lot to say. I really like the Cenobites in this. They do something really neat. It was a good smart choice update. So when the original came out, it was 1987. The S&M underground spandex culture wasn't really a thing. So at the time where you had these guys in spandex and S&M outfits in the 80s, it would have been very shocking. It would have been very visually like, oh my God. But now we're in 2022 and it's like, there's so much sex positivity. Like you can go on Amazon and buy butt plugs and whips and chains and all that shit. You know what I mean? Like that's not shocking anymore. So a very wise decision was they updated their look. What is their outfits, Mark? What are they made out of? Do you remember this? What is the Cenobites' clothes?
I want to say plastic, but I don't know.
It's their flesh.
Is that what it is?
It's their flesh. Okay. The Cenobites' outfits is their own mutilated flesh. Yeah. So Pinhead's like they redo the Pinhead, the priest, which she's referred to. She goes back to the priest. So the priest look it's made out of her flesh. So all of their skin is their clothing, which is a very clever redesign.
But it's not in a way that is shocking or horrifying. It's almost kind of beautiful. Like I would say that's one thing about the Cenobites there. You know, they still have piercings and things going through them, but it's not horrifying.
I disagree. I think it's pretty horrific.
Like
I don't know. I disagree.
In a way, it's kind of like, oh, that's it. Their look kind of felt calming in a way that. Yeah.
Mark's a bit of a sick fuck.
Don't need to check my hard drive.
Remember you were thinking, you're like, oh wow, the real friend, the JP Monroe's sitting over here. I don't know. It calmed you down, did it, Mark?
Yeah.
Yeah. You liked seeing women torn up and their skin peeled back and revealing their organs.
Correct. Yeah,
yes.
No, I just felt like it
calmed me.
Yeah.
You did it. Wow. Tell me more. Do go on.
911.
Yeah. No, I think they had a really cool look.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the female Pinhead. She nails it. The actor is Jamie Clayton. Did you see what she actually looks like?
I did find a picture you would never guess.
She's like a fucking smoke show.
Yeah.
She's like this hot blonde.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah, you go, Jamie Clayton.
Yeah.
She underwent like insane prosthetic work to make her look like this monster, like this Cenobite. And they go back to the priest. She's referred to as the priest again. I appreciate that.
Good move trying to kind of distance themselves from the quote unquote Pinhead.
Yeah.
And they don't refer to her as Pinhead. She is the priest. I don't even think they even really refer to.
I don't think they name any of them.
Yeah.
No, they don't need to name any of them. Go back to the mystery.
Yeah.
Her performance is great.
Yep.
Her voice, they alter it a bit, but like her delivery is really good. but her voice is very like ethereal and like haunting.
What are you?
Explorers in the further regions of experience. Of sensations rim. Our gifts are boundless.
I don't want them.
Yes, you do.
It's very effective. If one of the best things about the original Pinhead is how he intimidates in a gentlemanly way, she nails that.
Yep.
She is menacing without actually really trying, without ever really doing anything.
She's not trying to scare you. It's just her. Yeah, exactly. That's a good word for it. Her presence, you just know that it's bad news. Yeah. I noticed that strikes the right balance between giving the Cenobites decent screen time while also keeping them from becoming the main focus of the movie. The ones in this franchise that I dislike the most are the ones where the Cenobites are main characters. They should never be the main characters. They're
in this movie a lot.
They are, right. But
I think they're in it about as much as the first one. They're in it about like a third.
But the focus never moves away from Roland and Riley.
Yeah, and those characters. Yeah.
They are simply the ones that enact what you have decided will happen, right? So
I think the 2-hour runtime definitely is a little much.
Yep.
Need to be trimmed up a bit. But I think it uses the time pretty wisely. I'll say this is another thing. It's such a polished looking movie. It's beautiful. Really nice cinematography.
If any one of these 11 movies was going to come close to deserving a longer runtime, this is the one. So at least it went to the right one.
It's so crazy after watching, like, you watch those early 2000s Dimensions ones, and I don't know if Dimension Films produced this or what. I don't know which production company was involved in this.
Well, you don't think your copy here would tell you?
Well, that is a bootleg copy because so I had to order a bootleg Blu-ray of, hold that shit up. I had to order a bootleg Blu-ray on the internet because there is no official Blu-ray release for this. It was like made for Hulu. It was like a Hulu production.
Yeah.
But why didn't this go into theaters? The budget's there. This could have this is so much better looking than Hellraiser Bloodline.
Yep.
And Bloodline, I think I said, was the last one that went into theaters. It's like, this should have been in theaters.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
But everything is being produced now for streaming purposes, right?
I guess, but yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't like it.
Really?
I don't know why. It didn't have a ton of love.
I feel like if you don't like this, it's because you haven't watched the first 10. You got to pay it off.
Why don't you watch Inferno, Deader, Hellseeker, Hellworld, Revelations, Bloodline, Hell on Earth,
Judgment. Yeah.
Then watch this.
Then you get to watch this.
And then see the difference.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of a quality
Yeah.
jump, eh?
Yeah.
Just a bit. Yeah.